Okay, so about a week ago or so, I posted a little video to my Instagram. I'll play that here. And I also did a poll a few days after, seeing if people wanted to see a breakdown video of exactly how I shot that and edited it. People said yes, so here's that video. Luna, say hello. She's busy on official business. Okay, so the way I figured I would break it down would be into 4 parts. The first part being the planning of the shots. So this is probably the most important part of it, because you kind of need to know what shots you want to get so you're not just sitting out there recording for hours and hours and hours. So I went through and I kind of read the description of the product. What are the tasting notes of this coffee? Do I want to add those in? I didn't end up doing that. I did some tests. It didn't work out for the video. But, I kind of went through and I knew, okay, I wanted an opening shot. So I got a shot of myself opening the bag, which I had to do after, unfortunately. I kind of messed up my planning a little bit. I'll talk about it a little bit later. Then I also knew I kind of wanted this twisting shot. So I wanted that shot to kind of like get in depth, like really kind of dive into the coffee. And then I also knew I wanted this hero shot at the end where everything kind of is set. We have a nice little cup of coffee. There actually wasn't anything in the cup when I did it. I'll show you how I did it in Resolve when we get to the editing portion. I'm actually using that same mug this morning. I kind of chose it because it's kind of non-offensive. It doesn't have any logos or anything like that. I also think it looks really nice. I like the color. I think it complemented the coffee bag really nicely. But it didn't, take away from the star of the show, which was the coffee. So I kind of did my planning, and then I went into the setup for the shots. So the set that I used, it's all really kind of basic. I don't have any real area set up to do product shoots like this. I just use my living room. I set some stuff up on a coffee table, took my tripod out there, and that's kind of it. I'll go jump out to the living room and I'll show you exactly how I set everything up, what I used for the background, what I used for that kind of bottom where everything was sitting on. It's kind of funny what I used. It's a little ridiculous, but it kind of shows that you can really just use whatever you have lying around the house. One thing to note, make sure you cut off any extra light that you have going on. Turn off the lights in your house, cover those windows with the blinds or curtains or whatever you have, just to kind of minimize the light and have a lot of control over it, unless you're using that kind of natural light look. So yeah, let's go jump out to the living room. Okay, so behind me is the set that I had. I didn't have this light on. I just have that on so you can actually see me out here. But once I flip around, I'll turn that off and show you exactly what it was. For this set, you can see this is that kind of textured black that I used, and this is that nice brown. This thing is actually my old drawing board from art school. Yeah, so that kind of, all the wear and tear kind of gave it a nice texture. And then all I did was pin it between my sofa and this coffee table that I shot everything on. And then this textured, you can see it was a Goodwill buy, is actually an Ansel Adams print on this nice wood that has this black background. So really, I truly did not have anything that you should have had. Here's the coffee that I use. Would highly recommend if you're in like the Minneapolis, Twin Cities area. So this is the light. It is the Godox SL60W. So that's kind of everything that I had for the set. For the textures on the bottom, I just got some other whole beans because I really didn't want to open this up until I did that falling shot where the beans kind of spilled out, just because I didn't want to, use up a bunch of them. That's another reason why I started with like that end hero shot, just because I didn't want to affect the packaging or the amount of beans that it had before I got that last final shot with it. Start with your hero shot and then do the other ones that might kind of damage or affect how the product looks in the end. As long as you don't have like multiple. I only have the one bag. But yeah, so I grabbed some other beans. I also used some ground coffee for some smaller little bits, almost like a sandy look. And then I just used, a simple tripod. Any kind of movement that happens in the shot, aside from like the twisting into the bag, which was a very difficult one because I had to do it one-handed. But it's, if you have two hands, a lot easier. Everything aside from that was just like in DaVinci Resolve using, some keyframes and adjusting the position. So we'll hop into DaVinci Resolve now, and then I'll show you exactly what I did to edit this. Okay, so we're back from the living room. I was able to do all of this with kind of a broken arm, so if that doesn't say that you could easily do it yourself, I don't know what does. So I shot all of those shots, and then I brought them into my computer, and I'm using DaVinci Resolve to do all of my editing. I would highly recommend that you give it a shot. So we'll kind of jump into the edit now, but quick before I do that, I just want to note I shot everything with the XT-3 from Fujifilm, using the F-Log profile so I could do some color grading in post. And I shot it all with one single lens. I'll go grab that. So I was using this lens. This is the Helios 44-2. It's a vintage Russian lens. It's got a really nice bokeh. It's kind of gets a little swirly, but I think it's got a nice character to it, and I thought it would look nice for this. All the textures that we have going on in the coffee. I thought it would kind of highlight those nicely. So I shot it all with this. Really easy. These are really cheap. You can get them for like $60 on eBay. Just know it's going to take like 2 months to get to you. For the most part, if you're buying it from like Russia or Ukraine. Yeah, highly recommend. For audio, I didn't really record anything with audio. I knew I was going to do everything in post with sound effects. So I kind of just left my mic off, lighten it up for the one-handed user. Okay, so here is the DaVinci Resolve timeline that I have for this project. As you can see, the footage part of the timeline, really simple. The only thing that's overlaid on top is this steam here coming out of the coffee mug, and we'll go over that in just a second. As far as audio goes, there's not a whole lot going on. It's mostly just because it's spread out. So there's some, overlapping going on. I got all my audio, at least most of it, from Epidemic Sound. It's an easy place to get audio from if you need sound effects or music that, it's free to use whenever. This clip right here is just the NAT sound coming out of my camera onboard microphone. Not the best to use, but it did the trick for what I needed. So if we go in a little bit more to the audio, see at the end here we have this iron close steam. It's just kind of adding a little bit of texture to the sound. That idea of the steam coming out of the coffee mug here. If we scroll over, all these little things are just the coffee bean sounds. They're actually lima beans being dropped, but beans are beans, right? So for this shot right here, I individually added in a bunch, just because there were, just a few being dropped in, and then I added some in the back for some texture. And then we also have this cold winter storm here. Again, adding a little bit of ambience to it. We can play through this clip here. So you can see there's just like a few beans being dropped. So I just kind of place those in by hand. Over here, I don't know if you heard Luna there. She's yelling a little bit. Over here we have this whooshing sound. That's just from this whoosh pack that I have right here. If you look up on the left, all these whooshes, you can find these sorts of things on the internet of just packs of sounds. But yeah, so that kind of gives this little transition between that kind of turning, swirling, top-down shot into the beans dropping. So we'll play that here. So that gives us that little bit of a whoosh. We also have this hit right here. That's that bag hitting. It's another epidemic sound effect of just a bag of beans being dropped. You can find lots of other weird things there too. But yeah, so that just kind of gave it a little bit of body and didn't make it look like it was just this hollow thing falling over. Yeah, that kind of does it as far as the sound effects go. We can jump into the color tab here. And so for these, really simple node structure. Didn't do a whole lot with it. I added this LUT, if you look over on the left hand side, this BT709 LUT just to kind of get me started, and then from there I did some minor adjustments down in the left hand corner on my primary wheels, and then a little bit of tweaking with the contrast and the saturation. That's kind of what I did for all of these clips. They're all slightly different. This clip and the first clip are pretty close, and then the beans are fairly similar. They have a little bit more saturation to them, just because I found that this salmon color was causing a lot of issues as far as being just a little too vibrant. And then for the steam coming out of the mug, you can see it right here. I used this asset right here. This is just a smoke asset. And then I masked it out to just be above where the coffee mug is and have it trail a little bit off to the left just to give it a little bit of movement. But yeah, so we add a little softness to that. Not a whole lot in the edit page. What I did was I went up to the composite mode and I set that to screen. And then I added a little bit of an opacity change here, just so that it would kind of change with the focusing in on the coffee bag. Yeah, so it's, nothing too crazy. All right, that's pretty much it for the editing part of it. There's not a whole lot of effects work done on the audio. I did a little bit of reverb on a few things just to kind of get that slow motion effect in there. But other than that, that's it. Real quick before I end the video, if you want to see more stuff like this, let me know, leave a comment. But yeah, I think it was really fun to make this video. I would do more in the future if people want to see them. Maybe I'll occasionally drop something, but if you want to see specific things, if you want to know about gear, whatever I use, let me know. I can make stuff on that. Otherwise, I'll probably put something up every once in a while. But yeah, just let me know. Thanks. Bye.